Good evening, everybody. This is A.L. Johnson with Elevating Men. Thanks for joining us. Today is Thursday, March the 4th. The month is it's a fresh new month, and the winter is over. No more ice, no more snow, sunshine, and it's been some beautiful days, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it. But today, I'm excited to talk to everyone tonight. We've got a very special guest. He's the brand ambassador for Big Brothers Big Sisters KC, Mr. Derrick Jennings. How you doing today, sir?
Hello, I'm doing good. How are
Good,
you?
good. And of course, I got my I won't call him my partner in crime. I'll say my partner in good deeds, Mr. Lauren Jones at Lojo Speaks. How you doing, sir?
What's going on, man? Blessed to be here. It's another great day.
Good, good. Well, listen, so we're coming to you today to ask for your help and to ask for your support. Our youth need our help big time.
Mhm.
When it comes to the mentorship programs in Kansas City, I was just made aware here recently that there's a huge shortfall when it comes to the number of mentors available for our young men. Here at Elevating Men, every week we have discussions about how we can help men improve their lives. We do understand that until we're able to heal the men in our community, they're not able to be good fathers. And without a good father in the household, it really puts a child at odds. It really stacks the odds against them. And so mentorship is extremely important. There's a lot of single mothers out there who are trying to raise boys, raise young girls alone. And Big Brothers and Big Sisters is an organization that can help. And so today we're just going to talk about some of the benefits, exactly what it is that they do for our community, and how you can help. And so, Derrick, just to start off, man, how did you get involved with Big Brothers and Big Sisters?
Oh man, it's kind of a long story, but I'll try to make it short here. I was involved in a mentorship program at UMKC, and it was called A Bridge to the Stars. And it was like a STEM pipeline that gave inner city high school students an opportunity to take a intro physics course. And we selected these kids ignoring all performance in high school just on interests alone, and we put them in the class with other college students. They took the same tests, they did the same homework. The only thing that was different was they were paired with a near peer mentor. That is a college student that was in the class with them, that would meet with them outside of the class about once a week. And what we found was that those kids on average were performing higher than the college students. And some of those kids, they scored the highest grade in that physics course, which is an intro physics course at college. And that was just phenomenal to me. That really showed me the power of mentorship, because some of these students were D, F, C students in high school, and here they are getting the highest grade in a physics course. And so I knew mentorship was going to be a part of my life. I just didn't know how. And so fast forward, I'm graduating, looking for something to do. And I thought, let me see what Big Brothers Big Sisters is doing. And here I am.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, first off, I definitely want to say, as a father in the community, we definitely appreciate your service and your heart for the children, your heart for the community. You're a young man. You could be doing anything with your time. And so the fact that you're willing to pour into the next generation the way that you are at such a young age, I think is extremely powerful. I do have to ask this question. It was my assumption, and like I said, I'm just getting into all of this, that the mentors would tend to be, a little bit older. I'm 37. I don't mind putting that out there. I'm 37. I know you're a few years younger than me.
Yeah, I'm 30.
Okay. And so at your age, what was really, what stood out to you that made you say, you know what, now is the time for me to get involved with the youth, now and not later?
Well, um, caring for the people around me in my community has always been a passion of mine, always. And so it was kind of really just a natural fit when it comes to interacting with the youth. I've had a past of being a preschool teacher and working with the youth there. And so it was just kind of a natural progression for me. Once I had the skills to be able to do it, was, let's work with Big Brothers Big Sisters and see what I can do here. Because I really think that our youth is invaluable in terms of determining our future and the health of our community.
Absolutely. So, from the littles that you work with, as you call them, the young men, the young women who need mentorship, once they're paired with a big brother or a big sister, what is the number one thing that you notice immediately that changes in their character or demeanor?
We noticed them, their self-esteem kind of getting up there. I can even say I'm paired in the program as well. I'm a big to my little Reggie. He was 12 when we got matched in 2019, and I can just say that he just carries himself with the confidence. He looks me in the eye when he talks to me now. He shares his opinion more freely, and that's really important. And those are kind of the subtle things that we see, but there's larger things that we see as well. 100% of our littles graduate high school. That's been true for the last 5 years, which is a big one. 83% of our littles report higher self-esteem as well. So we really are seeing some big impacts there.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I was on the website. I was looking at the history of Big Brothers Big Sisters. I think it's really interesting how it got started. And so, correct me if I'm wrong, because you're the expert here. But from what I can gather, there was a group of lawyers, and they saw that there were too many young men who were going into the prison system, and they found like a common denominator that they didn't have any mentorship, or maybe they were from a fatherless home, and they wanted to do something about it. Did I have that correct?
Yeah, you do. And that's actually why our mission is focused on that demographic of the population. We actually did a study of the Kansas City Metro, and what we found is that 25% of school-age children live in a one guardian home. And from that small portion, a quarter of the population, they represent 90% of juvenile court cases and 90% of high school dropout rates and 60% of teen suicides. That's overrepresentation. That's overrepresentation by definition. And I come from that group. So we're not saying that anyone is destined to be that there, but we clearly see that that's some potential that could use a little extra one-on-one, attention from a caring adult.
Wow. So from your vantage point, having worked in mentorship for so long, there are a lot of people that say, single parents that may say, yes, I'm a single parent, but I can do it all. I can work the job. I can take them where they need to go. I can be the mother. I can be the father. I can solve all the problems. What do you say to that from your vantage point? How do you view that? What have you seen on your end?
I can honestly say that, the parents in our program, I used to interview our families, and the parents in our program, they recognize that they're rock stars. But kids take a lot, and they understand that there sometimes might be things that they can't relate to with their child, either because of their parent or because they're a different gender than their child, and they're just looking for a little extra help there, because that one-on-one attention with your child, sometimes when you have 2-3 jobs and you're trying to take care of not just one child but 2 or 3 children, it's not something that ends up working out all the time. And just kind of acknowledging that and being honest and with ourselves, and moving forward with that, what's best for our children.
I feel you on that honesty part, because as a parent, there's a certain level of pride that you have in being able to take care of and provide for your children. And so do you find that some of the parents, maybe there's a wall that has to be let down, that wall of pride, that I don't need any help in rearing my child?
Yeah. And that does happen. But, I can say when I got matched with Reggie, his mom, and not necessarily his mom, but other littles and that I've interviewed, they'll say, don't talk about my parenting with the little. They'll set boundaries, and that's okay. And we'll work with those boundaries, because we're here to provide that one-on-one mentorship. And if we can focus on that without doing any of that other stuff,
Got you. For those of you that are just tuning in, again, I'm A.L. Johnson with elevatingmen.com. We have a special guest today, the brand ambassador for Big Brothers Big Sisters of Kansas City, Mr. Derrick Jennings. He's been in mentorship for several years, helping our young boys, just find their way. A lot of them are lost. They don't have the direction that they need, even though there may be a parent in the home. Without having to, especially the father, for these young boys, it can be very difficult. Now, you work with the big brother side. I know there's the split, the big brothers, the big sisters. How does a person make sense of all that?
Yeah, well, everyone goes to the same program. Yeah, it's the
Okay.
same. The only kind of difference that we have is between volunteers, which are our bigs, and our children, which are our littles. So that's kind of the only distinction that we have. But obviously, we match little sisters with big sisters. We match little brothers with big brothers. But we also, a lot of people don't know this, is we allow big couples in our program. So if you've been in a relationship for 2 years or longer, we'll match you in our program as well as a single unit, and that can be more useful too, just because you can tag team picking up your little, and you can do things with your little independently from your spouse. Where if you aren't doing that, if you aren't as a couple, only you can interact with your little, only you can pick up your little and do activities with them. So that's a good way to spread the load there on the efforts.
Makes sense. Makes sense. That's a good program. That is a really good program. So Lojo, you've been a big before with big brothers, big sisters. What was that experience like for you?
It was a great experience. I went into it, because I didn't have one, and
Mhm.
so it was, as an adult, it's like, okay, time to change the narrative. So that was my reasoning for getting involved. Is I wanted to provide that level of mentorship for somebody that I didn't have. So you know, I can't even tell you what the event was that I was at. But the matching, they take the time to match you up appropriately. I will say that. There were a lot of similarities between me and my little Antoine. Uh, so we were able to build a connection off of those similarities to at least break the ice. Because that's the hardest thing to do. When you're tapping into somebody that doesn't know you, they don't know what your intentions are or anything like that. So, having those similarities is an easy way to break the ice.
So tell me this: when it comes to the intake process. So, for a single mother, she's got a son. She wants to get him in some activities. She reaches out to big brothers, big sisters. I saw on the website that there's a form that they fill out with some basic information. What does the matching process though look like? How are you guys behind the scenes working that magic to match them up with someone compatible?
Yeah. So the way we do that is someone who did what I used to do, which is child enrollment. They will get, once you've applied, done your paperwork, they'll get your folder, and they schedule a little 45-minute to an hour session with you. We're doing those virtual now due to COVID, but it's just to get to know more about you, your family, your child, what their interests are. We'll ask how they're doing in school, how they interact with strangers, what are their friend groups like. It's a pretty exhaustive interview there, but it's just to get to know you, your family, your child, and then once we do that, we kind of create a summary of everything that we know about you, and then the team that does enrollment for our bigs meets with our child enrollment team. I believe that's about once a week. I think it's like 12 or so, a little bit more than that, people. And they'll say, hey, I have this little here. Do we have any bigs that we think might be a good match? And so we're thinking about compatibility, interest, shared values, goals, as well as being within 20 minutes driving distance of you. We really want to make sure that not only your little is in your community, but that, I'm sorry, your big is in your community, but that transportation piece is easy as well. And so once someone on that team feels like they have a good match for you and your little, they will pull the little summary and the big summary and share it with everyone on that team. And when everyone on that team says, yep, we see the compatibility here, we want to go forward, then we'll eventually share the summary of the big with the family and the little, and everyone, gets to have buy-in. You can say, hey, I'm a little concerned about this part of the summary here. We'll talk to you about it. I know my little's mom, Mercedes, she wanted to meet me first. So we had some coffee, just her and I. Reggie didn't know about me before that time, and she just wanted to get to know me. So we allow that as well. But once you do that, then you'll do your teaming. So once you said yes to your little, yes to your big, and your big said yes to you, you'll meet, and the person who has been kind of championing your match throughout this whole process. They'll come to your home with the big, introduce the big to your child. There'll be a couple of forms to fill out there and some paperwork to get done, and then your little and their big will go on their first match, which is an introductory match. I took Reggie to Starbucks in just 30 minutes or so, and just talking and get to know each other. And I will say, Lauren, it is a little awkward at first, but they've been waiting. A lot of times, littles have been waiting, the big has been waiting, and so everyone just has that energy, that expectation, and that kind of can bulldoze that awkwardness pretty fast.
Gotcha. So here's a question I have. So I talked to a few guys, since I got connected with you all, talking to them about mentorship. A lot of them have a couple of the same concerns, right?
Okay.
The number one that I hear is, I don't want to get involved in this child's life and not be able to see it all the way through and create another heartbreak situation.
Yeah.
How do you guys address that?
We take that part pretty seriously. That 1 year, it's actually a 1 year commitment is what we call it, and it can, like you said, it can do more harm than good if you bring someone into a child's life and remove them in 6-8 months. And then those stats that I was telling you, the 100% graduation rate, the 83% improved self-esteem, and that stuff, we don't see that becoming true until after that 1 year mark, anyways. And so what that commitment looks like, it is very real, and if it's not a good time, don't push it. But what we're looking for is, are you going to change jobs here anytime? Are you going to be moving? Are you going to be adding a member to your family? Anything like that might disrupt your relationship with your little. And if that's something, that you don't know about, then definitely hold off until you're sure.
That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. Currently, like how many children are matched with a big brother or big sister out of the Kansas City branch?
Yeah, we have 1,200, about 1,200 littles in our program that are matched,
Wow.
and out of that, about half of them are Black or African American.
That's good. So what is the shortfall? Like how many mentors would you say the organization is short or in need of?
So, right now our hard big number is 220. We have about 220 littles that are on the wait list. That's going to be mainly in our Eastern Jackson County area. I bet you can imagine what street that starts on, east of, and where we have a lot of littles there, but not enough bigs. And that's where the majority of our wait list is there. But that number I shared with you earlier, that 600 number, we only have around 90 something Black or African American bigs in our program. And I used to enroll littles, so I would interview them. And one of the questions we asked them is, what do you want? Who do you want your big to be? What do you imagine your big to be like? And so many times I sit across the table from a young Black man, and he's describing either me or someone that looks like him for his big. That's who he wants to be his big. And I have to kind of, manage those expectations and kind of, hey, just having any big is also, going to be great, and you can still have things in common with them. But there's still something about that lived experience that I think that we need to share. I think they deserve that. That's the number I really want to focus on, is that 600 to 90 something.
So what do you think the problem is? So I heard two things out of that. One, the east side of Truce, let's just call it what it is, the east side of Truce. There are 220 young boys and young girls who need a mentor, but no one's signing up. So let's first address that. What do you think the problem is? What would you think? Because I know you were sharing with me earlier, with you being the brand ambassador and being responsible for community outreach, that position was just created about a year ago. And so it looks like you guys have made some intentional efforts to kind of reach out. And so what does that experience look like?
Yeah, man, it is a nebulous thing. There's lots of factors going on. Some of them are they have an idea of what it looks like to be a big. They think that you have to have a certain type of quote unquote success. You have to, look a certain kind of way. You have to have a certain, have gone to college, working at a large firm, these kind of things. And, kind of dispelling that myth, bigs look like all of us because our littles look like us, and that's what that's about. And we love people who have different life experiences because, our littles have different life experiences, and not everyone is necessarily going to go down the same path. And those experiences are just as valuable. So that's one part. And another part is, I think that this is something that my team wrestles with, as you've identified. We wrestle with it, and a lot of times I think people just don't know. People just really don't know how much of an impact it really can make. We're not just out here doing this stuff for like feel goods,
Right, right.
We're changing people's lives. Really, we're changing our community's lives, and that's so important. It's just trying to get that message out there.
Wow, wow. So, for those of you that are tuning in, we're talking with Derrick Jennings. He's the brand ambassador for Big Brothers Big Sisters. We're looking for support. We're looking for men and women who want to step up, to the plate, step up to the challenge. There's 220 children in Eastern Jackson County who are looking for mentorship. And so, for those of you who are watching this and you say, "Hey, I've got a heart for the children," I want to be able to help out in any way that I can. What should those people do, Derrick? What would be the next step for them?
Yeah, they can go to beabig.com, and there you can sign up for an info session. And now this is, you're not necessarily committing. It just means that you want to learn more about what it means to be a big, because there's so many details there. Like, for example, you meet with your little about 2 to 3 times a month, and it's about doing little to no cost activities. These are things, little details like that you'll learn at this info session that might answer some of the questions that you might have, or address some of the obstacles that you're dealing with. And that's about 45 minutes or so. We're doing those virtually right now. That will be the kind of the first step if it's something you're interested in.
Got it. So, Lauren, when you were a big, what did your days or your weekend with your little look like? Like, how did you plan that? Just as a man having your own family, how were you able to integrate the little into your life?
So when I was in the program, I didn't have my tribe of 5 that I have now. I just had my girls. So it was almost like that father-son bonding time to a certain degree. We went out, we played basketball. We went out, we got pizza and wings. I think one time, what did we do that we had never, neither one of us had neither done? Oh, we went ice skating. That's what we did. We went ice skating. Neither one of us had ever been ice skating. So, we went over to Crown Center and, hit the rink. So, but the longer that you do it, the more they get nestled into your family. Like, it's just like having another kid that just doesn't live there almost. I know my little brother would come over to the house and, my daughters would be here and I'm like, all right, man, we about to eat. And he would just sit down like he was one of my kids, and things like that. So the longer you stick with one kid, the more they just literally become just a natural part of your family. And your kids are like, hey, what's up, bro? What's going on? Like all of that, because they're around so much that it's just like an extension of your family.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So what do you say? You and your little, you guys, are you still close? Do you still interact with each other?
Man, we talk at least every other week.
So this is like do you see a lot of Derrick? Do you see a lot of like lifelong relationships forged through the program?
Yes, I mean that's almost kind of the rule. Once you get past that 1 year mark, your little's a part of your life. I mean, when I passed my 1 year mark, Reggie was coming with me to my holiday things with my family. My family knew him, so he becomes a part, and you can't even imagine really not interacting with them.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, program successes. I know you said that, just kind of in general, grades kind of go up, confidence increases, and things like that. But can you share with us maybe like a specific little that you can recall, just their transformation and how much the program helped them by having a mentor?
Oh man. I mean, we've had so many stories. There is one that I just came out of, that I just heard about. I forget the name of the big and the little, but it was out of Michigan. But they were just talking about how the little comes. He was a black little boy, and he was had a single mom, and he was talking about how when he saw his big, he said to himself, "Oh, maybe I could be like that one day." And man, tell me if that's magic, in my opinion, when you can see yourself in the future, and in a positive way. And he was, talking about how that really encouraged him to do better in his life and do better in school. We also have Brian and Kieran. They're one of our famous ones, and they got so close that they were helping each other when Kieran was going to prom night. Brian helped him and went and got him some new clothes for the prom night. I mean, that's not expected for Biggs to do, but he did that, and it's just a part of his life, and now a part of his whole high school experience. So it's really just about that bonding and that relationship, and that's really kind of how relationships are. You can't really point to a moment and say that's the thing that changed everything. It's just the sum of it all together, really.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So, for a guy who's watching, and I've talked to a couple brothers about mentorship, and so I've heard things like, well, hey, I don't have any background in social work, or I don't have any children myself, so how can I, be a father figure to someone, and I don't have any
Yeah.
children, and different things like that. So, can you speak to what traits a good mentor would have?
Yeah, I mean, be passionate about defending the potential of youth. Really, that's like the number one trait. Because there's so much variety in people, and so many different types of people can make great bigs. You just never know what circumstance we're in here. Do you mind just repeating the first part of your question? There was something that sparked in my mind that I want to get back to.
Oh no, just about the traits of a good mentor. So people will think that they maybe need to have a background in
Oh,
childhood
that,
education,
yeah, yeah,
or
yeah,
something along
yeah.
those lines, or they don't have any children themselves. Should I be mentoring? What?
Yeah, and I think that's a good question, like to be questioning that, because you are being entrusted with someone's child. But that's what actually makes our program stand out. We're not just kind of throwing you in sink or swim. We have a team of people who have psychology degrees, sociology degrees, social work degrees. We have people on our team who have been with us for 20 plus years. And they're regularly checking in with you. So whenever you have a question that your little might ask you that you're like, man, I don't know how to answer that, or if I should answer that, they're there, and they've probably dealt with it before, and they know exactly how to help navigate that. We help navigate parent relationships and school stuff. We even have different layers of care. Starting out 8th grade, your little you and your little will go into a different level of our match support. So this is just our program staff that is focused to that level of development in a child's life, because we just understand that a 10th grader is going to be going through different things than a 3rd grader, and we got you prepared for that. People that specialize in that age group.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So Lauren, when you first signed up to be a big, what were some of your apprehensions going into it?
The biggest apprehension, and probably really the only one I had, was commitment.
Mm.
Not having a dad in my life, as much as you're mentally committed to want to do something, you have experienced something completely different in your own. So, let's say that you get into a situation where you guys just aren't vibing. Do you run, or do you fight through those walls to, get that kid to open up, And so my biggest thing was commitment, am I going to be able to stick to this? But once you make that first point of contact, right, you understand how much that kid literally needs you.
Wow.
And as you develop that relationship, in most cases, you need that kid, because that kid is providing you something that it's kind of, when you talk about what's your why, that kid provides your why. And so it keeps you inspired to continue with it and to stick with it, because there's going to be periods. Like when I started with my little, he was 13. He was 13 years old.
Oh.
At 16, completely different kid. And so you're gonna go through those highs and those lows, because there's weeks where hey man, don't come pick me up this week because they mad about something that happened, and it's like, okay, let's talk about it though. You want to be alone? That's cool, but let's talk about what you're going through, because they're only pushing at you like that because they know they can. Because in most cases, you've built that rapport with them, so they know that statement will probe you actually opening up dialogue to try to actually help them through whatever it is that they're upset about. So you're going to go through some highs and some lows of working with your little, but it's also worth it, and eventually they'll tell you, man, I appreciate it. My little brother still tells me to this day, I don't know where I would have ended up if I hadn't connected with you. And I shared this story with you, Andrew, that he had two other brothers in the house that couldn't get matched. And I was sitting there, man, and in my head, I'm like, I would take all three, but I can't, because that's not what, the program is, the one-on-one interaction.
Yeah.
And so, it made me sad some days walking in the house, grabbing him, we smashing to go do whatever we getting ready to go do. And they just sitting there like, all right, man, bye, have a good time. And he would come back and be like, with like some pizza or something like that. And they like, so it did get to the point sometimes where, like, if we were just going to play basketball, I'd be like, all right, man, everybody hop in the car. We gonna go play. Because it's not that you feel obligated, but the same thing you provide a brother is what they're looking for. So I was able at times to be like, hey, we're all gonna go do something, or hey, we're gonna stay at the house and I'll just order pizza. That way everybody can just have some pizza. We could chill. I'll watch y'all play video games or whatever the case may be, and we'll just kind of hang.
So what you're saying is, a person who may be interested in being a big, they don't have to every week, come up with some big dissertation and speech to give the kids. They don't need to, have a book that they read in the middle of the week and break down philosophy or any of that. They just need to spend some time with them. Spend some time.
Man,
with them.
I'm gonna tell you, and this is probably the biggest thing I would tell somebody that's apprehensive. This is the biggest thing I would tell them, is all you got to do is just be a presence. Like, just be a presence. Like, they're not looking for you to be their dad. They're looking for you to be an example, somebody they can look up to, somebody they can bounce the way they feel. Like, that stuff isn't hard. It's really not hard. Nobody said you had to, you gotta save up money every week so y'all can do something fun. Because honestly, they could care less. Y'all could go take a walk down the street and just have conversation, and that's enough for them. I think some people think, oh, it's just big grandiose thing I have to commit to. It's not just time, it's money. And I'm telling you, and any kid would tell you the same thing. I just want your presence. That's all I'm really looking for. Wow. Like, whether it's your kid or whether it's some kid that you're mentoring, they don't want stuff. They just want you. And so
we ask them that too, and they say that. We ask them what they want to do with their big, and they say, I just want someone to hang out with me and talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I can doubly attest to that, because I was one of those people. I was like, I'm going to be the best big brother out there. I came out of the gate. We were, going to Dave & Buster's, shopping sprees at Forever 21. It took about 2 weeks or so before I had to call my match support specialist. And I was like, I don't know if I can keep doing this. I can't afford it. And she just told me to bring, Reggie to the gym with me. And I just thought, no way he's going to like that. But I brought him there and he loved it, man. I actually had to tell him to slow down because he was throwing too much weight on there, and I didn't want him to hurt himself, trying to impress me. Yeah. But we had we just had our year check-in. So it's like more a deep dive where they kind of go over some of the activities you've done and how your little's feeling about everything. And he said that going to the gym is actually one of his favorite activities. It beats out Dave & Buster's and the shopping sprees and all that stuff like that. And so they really get it. And that's what it's about, really.
So let me ask you this, Derrick. You mentioned, so we've been talking about the mentorship program, the one-on-one. I know that's a big part of it, but you also mentioned that You have psychiatrists and other services that are able to be offered to help these young children cope with whatever issues they may be dealing with. Can you speak to some of the other services that Big Brothers and Big Sisters offers?
Oh yeah, so those are actually people who are match support specialists. They just are trained in psychology or social work or sociology. So those are the people that are going to be doing your monthly check-ins with you, or the person that I told you I had to call when I didn't know what to do with my little anymore. That's a person who is on that team. So that's what I mean by those kind of services are kind of baked in to our program. But we also we operate as a hub for resources. I know right now we actually are doing a little drive to help a family in need with a car. We've helped with beds and in connecting with food drives and any kind of resources that our families might need because we're just a bunch of passionate people. But our mission, the way that it's designed, is that extra care that we get comes from your match support specialist.
Got it. Now, I do have a question here. So, with us doing the Elevating Men show on the podcast, we have a lot of women that tune in, and a lot of times, repetitively in the comments, we'll see things along the lines of them not having a male figure in the family or somewhere, someone else around.
Hmm.
Big Brothers and Big Sisters has been around for a very long time, and so what do you think is the issue, if that's the word for it, with people not seeking out that help through Big Brothers, Big Sisters? Do you think it's like not being aware? Do you think it's like we talked about before, maybe a pride thing, or what do you think is getting in the way of that?
Not being aware and also not knowing what the process is going to look like. We make the process as easy as possible for our families. You say that you're interested. You just fill out, you sign your application. We do interview like this, and then we do the rest. We really do try to make it as easy as possible to get in. I also know that a lot of people don't know that we service the entire metro area. I was raised in a single parent home, and we were living out in the suburbs in Lee Summit, and we didn't know that it was a thing that was offered for us there. And just letting spreading that awareness of not only that it's that you can do it, and that it's not as hard or as involved as you like to think. We'll work with your schedule. We'll meet after work. 6, 7. I've had 8, 9 p.m. Interviews with our families. Whatever it is that you need, even on the weekends, we'll meet with you. Whatever it is that will work best for the families.
Now, what about that? Just a person who's busy, maybe they're running a business, they got a family, they got a couple other things going on, and they just can't dedicate the time, but they're listening and they say, I believe in the mission. I believe mentorship is important. I want to help out. What are some things that they can do?
Well, email me at Derrick at bbbskc.org. And that's one way. And there's so many different ways of getting involved that we could just sit down and have a conversation. I can get to know you a little bit, know where your head's at. But we do lots of different events that you can help partner with us in. I know that we're trying to get Andrew here in our most wanted auction as an honoree. That's one of the ways. We also have our summer fun for kids' sake. That's a peer-to-peer fundraiser you can do. And then you also, if you just want to, if you have a group of friends, it could be a social group, co-working group, family group, even your roommates. We'll do a lunch and learn, which is kind of like this, but it's going to be virtual. And we'll just do 15, 20 minutes and let you know about what our program is and all the different ways of getting involved. And we'll do this for 3 people, 4 people, 50, 500, really, whatever. And you just name it, and we'll get out there and just share our mission.
Um, Tell me this. So we've addressed a couple of the concerns, that we have in the community. One, there's a concentration on the east side of Truce of children that don't have a mentor available. The number is roughly 220. We also have identified a situation where it's tough to find mentors that look like the children that are there seeking mentorship. In your opinion, from your vantage point, what can we do, man? What can we do? Like if you could wave a magic wand and change everything tomorrow, what would change in those situations?
I mean, obviously, we would have more bigs. We'd have more bigs of color. It really, there's no other way around that. That really is what it is. I know for me, um, and I don't want to necessarily get on a soapbox here, but I know for me, I feel responsible for my community. I feel like I'm a part of my community. My community reflects me, and I reflect my community, and I don't see how I could not get involved. If I have 2 to 3 hours a month to spend, which I do, why would I not? That's how it feels to me.
And I think one of the issues is a lot of times we're so closed off and we're in our own world, in our own home. And so we don't realize that if we don't go out into the community and help these other children that need it, a lot of the issues that they're facing can end up on our front door, because
Mm,
that's more children who are out there who are subject to getting into drugs, violence and things like that. And so, if for nothing else, even if you looked at it from a viewpoint of self-preservation, each of us should look to do what we can to uplift the broken parts of our community.
yeah.
What are your thoughts on that, Lauren?
Couldn't agree more. Honestly, it seems so daunting until you ask questions. And as I don't think we're always encouraged to ask questions. If you think about how some of us came up, it was just do what I say. And what that does is that translates as you continue to get older and grow in life, you just do what you're told. You don't really ask questions if you're not clear. And so I would say that, that's the biggest, I think, opportunity is, and Derrick, you can answer this question, about what are the requirements, how much time do I truly have to commit? I think it's
Mhm.
important for us to say, hey, even if you have a inkling of interest, just an inkling, you ain't got to be, I'm all in. If you
Yeah.
have an inkling of interest, an inkling of curiosity, ask the question, like, what is exactly asked of me in order to do this? Because you would be surprised that you don't have to give as much time as you think is expected of you. So you
Yeah,
know, yeah. Can you kind of tap into what's expected, kind of what some of the basic qualifications are just to become a big?
yeah. You got to be 21 years of age or older. And you have to have reliable transportation with insurance. Just because we're entrusting someone's child into your care, we have to make sure that is covered. And then there's that minimum 1 year commitment. So those are kind of just like the basic requirements. We used to have it to where it was meet with your little once a week. But we actually did a survey of our matches, and we found that most of them were meeting 2 to 3 times a month. So we just changed the standard to that. We get it. People have lives. Things come up. People get sick, go on vacation or whatever. And so it's just that 2 to 3 times. And if you're including your little into something that you do, it really is a no brainer. I already go to the gym. It's nothing for me to go pick up Reggie and bring him with me.
Do you what has COVID done to impact the program or impact the interaction between the bigs and the littles? Has there been uh challenge? I'm sure there's been challenges, but kind of talk about what those challenges have been in real time.
Well, I mean, of course, it was first the contact. Our littles were now in more stressful situations, but they were now being more isolated because when COVID first hit, we had stopped all match activities, and then we were just looking for ways of still interacting virtually, doing virtual games. We had bigs drop off food to make a meal at their little's house, and then they get on Zoom and make it together. And then, as things started easing up a little bit last year, we just decided to, we're going to follow the community standards and leave it up to then the comfort of the bigs and the littles and their families on whether or not they want to meet in person. So I was meeting with Reggie in person, but we still follow the same guidelines. We wear a mask when we're out in public, and all of that. And if I get exposed or he gets exposed or anyone gets exposed, we don't interact for 2 weeks or so. And so we keep everything above board, but it's only a few extra steps really. We have a very adaptable program for that.
No, One question, you talked about the qualifications, just briefly, and we're talking about this whole, situation on the east side. Like, I really want to focus on that because there's these kids who are really looking for mentors. And talking to a couple of guys, they were a little bit concerned about the depth of, background check. Of course, that has to happen
Yeah,
to ensure the safety of the children.
yeah.
But how deeply do you all look, and what things and maybe a criminal history would completely disqualify someone, and what things should a person not even be concerned about if they are?
Yeah, we're just looking for crimes against people. So we aren't looking for those, those parking tickets, or that one time you got caught with something in college, or that's not what's going on. We're just making sure that you haven't committed any violent acts against another person. And that really is the extent of our background check. And that is a good question though, because you never know, because people pull it for all different types of reasons.
Yeah, because I mean, I had someone actually ask me. He was like, are they checking your credit and all? I'm like, I doubt they're doing all that, but
I
you
would have
know,
been disqualified.
right? But that, that's it's a concern, for a lot of people, as far as just saying, I'm interested, but if I sign up, what all am I subject to as far as a background check? And so I appreciate you answering that. Um, as far as the fundraising, so some people, they just won't have the time to commit for that
Hmm.
full year. I did see on the website where there's opportunity to donate just monetary resources, and I
Yeah.
also saw a tab where you can donate clothing. So you just tell us a little bit about that part?
Yeah, so we have our matchmakers. That's our monthly individual givers, which starts about $35 a month, and that really helps us, stay solvent in years like 2020, where we can't do a lot of our events. And Kansas City is really philanthropic, so we actually saw a little bit of an uptick in people, increasing their giving last year, and that really helped us when we couldn't do a lot of our events. And then we have we have a partnership with Savers. I don't know how familiar everyone is with that. It's a thrift store here in Kansas City, and what's so special about this thrift store is that, unlike other thrift stores that use local thrift but take the profits out of the community, Savers has a partnership with us where we get a certain kickback based on the percentage, based on the poundage of thrift that they get, and they take more than clothes. They take gently used furniture and things like that as well. And there's three main ways to get involved with that. You can either go to Saver's location and drop it off on our behalf, or you can find a blue bin that's in one of the parking lots around town. There's definitely one at our headquarters, which is in the crossroads. So you can just Google Big Brothers Big Sisters KC, and that will lead you there. And then you also can. I think we're starting it back up at the end of this month or so. We had to stop it due to COVID, but if you have, say you're doing some spring cleaning coming up here, and you have a lot of stuff that you hate to see thrown away, but you don't have use for it anymore, we'll actually come to your house and pick it up for you free of charge, and that will also go towards helping us as well.
You guys are doing some great things in the community. I'm definitely committed to doing anything that I can, to help you guys out. Whether it's finding other bigs, the Most Wanted program. Most Wanted. Tell. Can you share a little bit about that? I saw that that's your biggest fundraiser for the
Yeah.
local branch here. How does that all work?
Yeah. Well, Most Wanted is an auction where we get the community together. Lots of small businesses and big businesses come together, and they offer different donation items that we then auction off. I think last year we had like lunch with Lana Del Rey, a private trip to someplace in the Caribbean. I mean, all these really cool things that people donate on. We have a great time, and all the proceeds then go to helping us do our mission. We also have honorees. Now, these are just people who are, they're leaders in our community, and they really want to make an impact, and they're wanting to dig deeper. And they'll throw their own private events, as well as their own personal fundraising to help us, reach our goals for that fundraiser, as well as putting together their own little kind of it's like a auction package really, for people to auction with that. It's a really fun time, and last year was one of our biggest. It was our biggest one so far, and so it's always a fun time for everyone. And we actually did them last year. We did them in the homes. We dropped off, some beverages, some alcoholic beverages, some snacks, some awards and things like that, and these big baskets to people to have watch parties at their house. And we did a live streaming of the Most Wanted auction.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So for people who, because when it comes to the community services and money, like when you
Yeah,
put all those words together,
yeah,
sometimes people start rolling their eyes and, kind of wondering. And so my question to you is, the funds that Big Brothers Big Sisters receives, what does that look like as far as the outflow? And I'm not looking for like an accounting record or anything, but can you help
yeah.
people understand that it actually takes money to run an operation of this magnitude?
Yeah, for sure. It actually, I can say we actually had a meeting just today about this where we itemized all it takes to support a match, financially, and start a match. And we found that it's about $1,500 just to start the match. And then 500 to support it through the rest of the year. And so if you just take that and multiply that by the amount of littles that we have in our program, which is 1,200, you're already over $2 million that we need. So the need is there. It is a big number, but that's what it takes. That's what it takes to really connect with our youth and our bigs, and make sure that they're having a fully supported relationship with our professional staff here.
Wow, wow. Yeah, that's one of those things people don't really think about. They know there's money going into an organization. They know someone's picking up, a boy on the weekend, but behind the scenes, people don't realize how much is actually going on. It sounds like a lot.
And it's
And also,
completely
big.
free of charge. It's completely free of charge to our families and our bigs. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
Yeah, right, it's free. So some money's got to come from somewhere. You got buildings and staff and
yeah.
things like that. I did have another question too. I read the whole website, by the way. Like I went through the whole thing, and I thought it was interesting that although Big Brothers Big Sisters started in New York, like we said at the beginning, it was a group of lawyers that just saw there were too many people going into the system. Um, how did Kansas City become the model for the rest of the country?
You know, I thought about this a lot, and I think that we have really good leadership. We decided to really laser focus our mission. Some other organizations or agencies, they might diversify some of the things that they're doing, but we focus on one-on-one mentorship, because we really believe that's where the most impact can be made. As when you have someone who's saying, "Yep, you're my little," and we're going to go out in the community and do these things and explore with each other, and because we focus on that, that allows us to really get to those numbers of like 1,200. We've been growing pretty consistently too, and so some of the stats you might have read is like we've in the last 7 years we've won. Sorry, in the last 7 years, 4 of those years we've won Agency of the Year. So it really is saying something about it, when we focus on that one-on-one mentorship and just believe in the power of relationship. We don't need all these extra gimmicks, like Lauren was saying. It's just about being there, being a presence, and we believe that wholeheartedly, and it shows.
Man, I love your energy, bro. I love your energy. I love your commitment, to the youth. Like I said at the beginning, at your age, for you to, take such a strong, solid stance on what you believe in, which is pouring into our youth. It's awesome, man. And I
Thank you.
definitely want to commend you for what you're doing. Keep it up. Keep up the good work.
Thank
Keep
you.
up the good
Thank you.
work. We're all looking to support you in any way that we can. Lauren, did you have any final questions or thoughts for the brother here?
Yeah, I did have one question. I had one question for you.
Hopefully I have an answer.
Yeah. So, do you guys partner with like churches and stuff like that to try to find mentors?
Yeah. We really will partner with anyone that we think might help us help or help our mission, really. And so that includes churches, other nonprofit organizations. I know that we were talking a little bit earlier about how sometimes it can be really competitive between nonprofits, but we're mission focused. We're about defending the potential of our youth in our community, and that's a colossal task. And we need as many hands as possible on that. And so we're totally about pouring in and having that collaboration in the community.
Good stuff. Good
Nah,
stuff.
that was my question, just because I know it's hard. Like
Yeah.
when you're out there trying to get people to support a positive initiative, and you're met with so much skepticism or
Hmm.
things like that. Like it can get frustrating at times. And so, but again, like you said, I'm focused on the mission. So you know what? If this isn't for you, no problem.
Yeah.
It's not for you, because what you don't want is, you don't want to force people, because it always turns out bad. It
Yep.
always turns out bad. They 6 months in and they like, I don't even want to do this anymore.
Yeah. How do you start a friendship when one person is being forced to be in it?
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah. I do want to say though, for those of you who may not right now might not be the right time for you. We are currently doing our big draft, which is a partnership that we have with NFL Inspired Change. We started that last year, but we're doing it again this year. And so beyond referring anybody, if you yourself want to be a big, if you go to be a big beabig.com and sign up for that, and you attend an info session before the end of April, not only will you get a big draft t-shirt, which is a cool logo t-shirt like this, that we'll send out to you for free, but you'll also be entered into get 2 season tickets to the Chiefs for the next season here. It's going to be lower level 50-yard line tickets that
I need that.
yeah. So you'll be entered into it automatically. But now, for those people who aren't necessarily interested in doing it themselves, if you refer someone to be in our, I'm trying to find this link here, but if you refer someone to uh, be a big in our program, and they end up going to an info session before April, you'll get an entry for them showing up as well. And if they're from Clay County or Jackson County, which is where our biggest need is in terms of our disproportion of littles and bigs, it'll count as 2 entries. And it's just a fun way to get involved in participating in the raffle, but also making an impact. If that's something that is more up your lane.
So I've got a question
Yeah.
related to you talking about where the biggest need was
Yeah.
as far as mentors. So let's say you get somebody, like, I live in Raymore. So let's say you get somebody like me that's like, you know what? If I got to drive 45 minutes away, I'll do it. It's no problem. Are there times where you have situations like that and that person is willing to commit even though the distance is further? How do you guys do that?
Yeah. So we do have people who have great hearts and great intentions and are willing to do that 45-minute or plus, but we just found that it just doesn't really work long term. Most times you're going to be hanging out with your little at your house. So when you push past that 20-minute mark or so that we have, that's when you start entering into an hour of just to go pick up your little. And we know people who have the best intentions doing that 2 to 3 times a month, 2 hours just to go pick up your little and drop them off. That just doesn't work, and we want to set up the relationship to be as successful as possible. So we just don't even, we don't go there. And if you are in Raymore, man, we got some littles out there. So, whenever you're ready to jump back in there and be a big.
I got you.
Awesome. Well, man, Derrick, thank you for taking out the time. You could definitely be doing anything with your evening, instead of being here with us. But, like I said before, we really support the cause. For those of you who are, late tuning in, definitely watch the replay, share this information with people in your network. What we're trying to do is address the mentorship gap. On the east side of Kansas City, there's 220 young boys and young girls who are looking for mentors. and there's no one there. No one has stepped up. And so if after watching this podcast, you feel like, hey, I want to do my part, I want to step in, visit Big Brothers, Big Sisters, KC. So that's bbbskc.org. Visit there. You can sign up to be a mentor. It isn't a cumbersome process. They're not going to dig through all of your history. They just, don't want people who have had, crimes against humanity, so to speak. If you're a solid person, good character, and you think you may have something to offer our youth, please sign up as a mentor. Let's not leave these 220 boys and girls sitting there wondering if anybody cares about them and their situation. Let's step up. If you don't have the time for the one-on-one mentorship, which is a year-long commitment, if you can't commit to that, there are other ways that you can help. So don't just ignore the program. You can help by monetary donation. Again, that's at bbbskc.org. You can also donate clothes, furniture, other used goods. And so it's spring cleaning time. As you're cleaning things out, don't put things of value in the trash, right? They have a partnership with Savers. And so they actually receive a kickback based off the poundage. And so please, send them couches and love seats and beds and heavy stuff so that we can raise money for Big Brothers, Big Sisters. We understand that COVID hit us hard last year. We understand that this is a one-on-one mentorship program that's done in person. They do a lot of fundraising, and they weren't able to do what they normally do last year. And so we understand that there may be a little shortfall there that we as a community need to come to their aid and fill in the gap. That's what it's all about. It's about our community pulling together and making stronger families. Stronger communities. And so Let's help the children. Our children need us. Big Brothers, Big Sisters, KC. How long has the Kansas City branch been here?
Oh, I don't know. I think over 60, a little, but I don't quote me. I just kind of remember hearing that.
Yeah, been around for a long time, helped a lot of children. Currently, for those of you that don't know, there are 1,200 children who are already matched. So 1,200 children right in our community are benefiting from this program. Derrick here, he's the brand ambassador. He's over community outreach. And so if your organization that you're a part of, your church, or anything like that, they want to know how they can step in and be a part and make a difference, reach out to Derrick. How can they contact you, Derrick?
Yes, you can contact me at Derrick, which is my name here, DERRICK, and that's at BBBS, so that's 3Bs, SKC.org. And just email me there, and we can definitely, schedule something to talk and figure out what ways that you can get involved, or get your church involved, or your organization involved.
Awesome. Any last words for you, Lojo, who is also, he's been a former mentor himself, so he's got a little background in this. Any final words from you, or just, a plea to the community?
Understand that, it takes a village. It takes a village. We all have to play our part. Sometimes we all can't be active members, be hands-on members, but we can contribute in some way. So however you choose to make that impact, make the impact. There's tons of organizations that you can support, tons of organizations that will support you. It goes both ways. It's a relationship, it's a partnership, but ultimately the objective is to make sure that our future is safe, secure, and it can grow and it can flourish.
And the last thing, I like to talk. I'm sorry, it's always the last thing, but I really do mean this. It's really easy for us to live in our own home within a bubble and ignore what's going on around us. But I'm pleading with you to please understand and just take a moment to consider that outside world is subject to end up at your doorstep unless you step out and defend against it. And the way that we defend against it is by mentorship with these young boys. When you look at the KC crime stats, you can just Google KC crime stats. You can go directly to the police website. They post, the robberies, the homicides, the things that you don't hear about on the news. It's happening all around us. And when you look at the age groups, they show the demographics. These are young men who are committing these murders. These are young men who are committing these robberies. Most of them are from fatherless homes, single parent homes. And Big Brothers, Big Sisters is really stepping in to address that by providing mentors. And so if there's anything that you can do, if you know someone who can help out, please contact Derrick at Big Brothers Big Sisters. So I had to say that last thing.
And
And
Andrew got big muscles, y'all. So don't, if he's pleading, y'all might want to just go ahead and do it because he got muscles. I'm just saying.
oh man, that's funny. And then of course, just last words from you, Derrick. Just any last words.
We need you. We need you. We need people that can see the potential in all the youth in our community and who have the will to do something about it. We are those people, and we're looking for more people like that.
Awesome. Derrick, again, I appreciate you. Lojo, I appreciate you as always. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. And again, please share this video. We need your help. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great night.